Miriam,
Hi, Henry.
hi.
Henry, if we're going to do minutes, why don't you make me co-host so I can share the minutes?
Sure.
Trying to find the minutes for. How are you?
Good, better since I went skiing today.
Nice.
That's just the best thing. Hello, Suzanne. Janice, hi.
Hi. I
Hi,
like
I want to
Miriam's
say I'm
painting.
here as a member of the Friends of the Historical Commission.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Leslie. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Leslie.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I'm driving home, so I'm going to mute myself. It'll
Oh.
only take me 10 minutes.
Don't
I had some stuff to finish at town hall. I just want to let you know I am here.
uh,
I think I'll stay connected. It usually works that way, but
Mhm.
if you had to ask me anything, I can wait before I drive.
no, we'll talk when you get to your destination.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll be listening. You go ahead and start. I'm here.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Okay, so we need
There's
at
a
least-
movement of human personnel going through my territory here. Okay, gotta go. Goodbye. I don't think the cat wants a shower cap on his head.
That's great.
It's a little zooey at my house. Okay, all right, Diggle Snoot. See you tomorrow morning. About 7 o'clock.
Whoa.
That's
Wow.
bright and early.
Yeah.
Doing the mornings this week. Yikes.
Wow.
So how's COVID in your neck of the woods? Anybody report anything up or down? I just hear relatives getting it and getting it twice. This
My
is
my daughter-in-law got it recently, and amazingly, my daughter, her wife, did not, which is crazy because they were in the same house, but they separated very quickly, and that was good. My husband and I haven't had it. My other son and daughter have both had it. And they both developed long COVID symptoms, so it was not a symptom. Yeah,
that's too
very,
bad.
very worrisome stuff. My daughter has developed some cardiac issues.
Oh,
Jeez.
man, that's terrible.
9 years old. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I was just thinking, I'm practically the only person in my general group that hasn't had it. There are a few, but like I think it was like a little over 2 weeks ago, my husband got it and one of my other friends got it within a day or two of each other. And so then I thought, oh, I'm doomed, but I was able to stay clear. But and then I thought, well, maybe it's no big deal, but then you talk about the possibility of long COVID and yeah, I'm still gonna wear my mask and be extra careful in public places and everything else. I just don't want to get it just because of that possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
yeah. My husband and I both had RSV this winter,
Oh,
which we got tested, so we know we had it. And we were both really, really sick for like over a month. And so it was kind of terrifying to think,
yeah.
we were sort of told, you really don't want to get COVID on top of RSV. It's a really
Mhm.
bad combination. So we did recover, but yeah, just
Wow.
be careful.
And both my people had been thoroughly vaccinated, all the boosters, everything. And we're really pretty careful, but we're super careful anymore because we thought it was on the decline.
Well, my son is a nurse, and during the pandemic, in the first year of the pandemic, he was repurposed at Bay State to work on a COVID unit. So he
Oh,
was
wow.
treating COVID patients. He never got COVID,
Huh.
but then he got COVID going to a wedding reception, of course.
Ah.
Bert,
Hey,
Oh, dear.
hey, how's the weather?
don't ask. You don't want to know. Here it's been terrible over there.
It's raining.
Yeah,
Is
Yep.
it raining now? Ah,
Yeah.
really noisy over here. May have to mute.
I can't hear anything really in the background.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, no, I can hear you. I don't hear the rain.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
So we're waiting, we could get started, we have quorum. But to vote on a couple of we could hold up on those and.
We need Greg and Mateo.
Karen.
Yeah,
Karen.
Greg and
Okay.
Mateo.
We need Karen and Greg to resolve these minutes.
Yep. And that's top of the agenda.
Do you want to call them, Henry?
Go on. I thought Karen was all on track. Let me see.
Probably give them a call. I don't have my
Yeah,
phone.
let me check. We did give them advance notice. We reminded them as well.
Okay. Hi, Bert.
Hello.
Some interesting things on the wall behind you, Bert. Is this the picture is interesting. The picture behind you is interesting. Is that a painting or photo?
We are staying at a friend of mine lent us their house, which was empty because his parents used to live here and they're gonna sell it, but right now nobody was living here. We have a 4-bedroom house that is fairly empty except for all things hanging on the walls. We had to buy a bed, which compared to paying rent is
wow.
a good deal. But back there, that's the tree is a painting by the guy who used to live here.
Wow,
Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, at least from here, it looks like an amazing painting. I thought it was a photograph.
Yeah, he used to paint. That wasn't his main job, but
Huh.
he was good at painting. A lot of pictures of old ancestors here.
Uh-huh. Wow.
It's right in the center of town, and we're next to a hospital, and it's really convenient. We can walk everywhere,
That's neat.
but it's really noisy.
Are you in Mexico or Costa Rica or where?
No, in Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico. Okay.
Yeah, my hometown.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah,
Hello.
Henry, there's Karen. That's great.
Aaron,
Yay.
Were you able to reach Greg?
I'm trying now. I can find his number.
Matthew is not coming today.
I don't know.
I don't have Mateo's number for sure.
I have Mateo's number. I can
Do
try.
you, do you have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little, I was thinking 7 o'clock tonight
Mhm.
till I checked it out.
No, there it is. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greg's on the phone. Maybe he's trying to get a hold of me. So anyway, that's Greg.
I have two numbers for him.
Okay, what's the second one?
What number are you calling?
461.
Oh, that's not a number. I have a 6953361. Let me try them.
I got it. I got it. Oh, unless you got it.
I'll try it.
Hello.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
Henry.
Henry, how are you?
Good, good. I was just wondering, do you remember the meeting today?
No, I didn't. To be honest.
I
So
thought-
it's at 5 o'clock, right? Which is-
yeah, I just started actually.
Okay, I'll get to it.
All right.
I'll get to the desk.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
Catch up with you, yeah. So Greg is a go.
Good.
You got Mateo's number?
And there was no pickup.
Oh, you called, okay. Did you call Mateo?
Yes.
Okay. We could try a little later, I guess. So Greg is on his way.
Good.
Where is he? Okay. So annual meeting, that's what we're doing now? Is that, Miriam, is that the annual meeting designation?
Yeah, we have to vote on officers and have
Yeah.
a discussion about goals and fundraising.
All right. Yeah,
We have to review the minutes.
So it looks like we need Greg for May and August, and we need Mateo for the January 25th.
We don't have a quorum for the January 25th.
Let's
Okay.
see. That was Henry, Miriam, Janice, Karen, Bert. No, we do otherwise, actually. Yep,
Yeah.
we're fine.
yeah. Thanks.
So
for
why don't
checking.
we do minutes now?
Do we have, well, we got Karen, we don't have Greg though, or,
We can do the January 25th.
why don't we go ahead then?
Yeah,
So we've got minutes for
January 25th.
January 25th. Any comments on that?
nope, it looked good.
Yeah, it looked fine to me. Ah, there's Greg. Welcome, Greg.
And my apologies, everyone.
Oh, no.
Good to
no
see you.
worries.
Oh, I still haven't got volume. There we are. I can hear you now. And my apologies.
Oh, no worries. We're just talking about COVID and things of that nature. So
It's
we
still
need
a
to
topic of
change our
interest.
topic. So we're discussing the minutes for January 25th of this
Right.
year.
I've got them up on screen.
Um,
Preparation. 18. I read them last week and I've got really no comments on them.
okay.
This is the two that this is for 525 and 810 last year.
125.
Yeah, we're doing
I
125.
wasn't there. I wasn't
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, you weren't.
I was in.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, any other discussion on those minutes, 125? Otherwise, I move to approve them. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Great, so that was Bert. Think go around the room. Alton.
Oh, he's
Oh, you're
present.
not, sorry.
Not there.
Defont,
I,
Hernandez,
aye.
Geddes, I. Karen. Hello, Karen.
Aye.
We're voting on the minutes for January 25th of this year. Oh,
Just said I.
Great.
excellent. Thank you. Stone.
Yes, or I.
All right, so it passes. Moving on to the minutes for 8/10/22. Any comments on that?
Not from me. It looked fine to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move to approve those minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second,
Second.
Janice.
Janice Stone, second. All right, going around. Were you there, Greg? I guess.
Yes,
Okay,
indeed.
so Carlton,
I.
Defont,
I,
Hernandez.
Wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Geddes, I, Stone,
I.
Sherwonka.
Aye.
Right.
Hooray.
All right. Minutes for 5/25/22, which have been on hold forever. And I think it was that time when we had to cancel. We had to cancel our meeting. No access to the Zoom, maybe? I don't remember. Anyway,
But we do have 4 members present today that were there then.
yeah, Karen, Greg, myself, and Janice?
Yep.
Okay. So any comments on those minutes?
Nope.
I'd like to speak to them.
Yes, by all means.
Since I'm quoted in the first paragraph, this paragraph on the first page, signed for town center with historical narrative.
Ah,
why don't you give me a second and let me share it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna screen share it, okay? I didn't do these minutes. I think Henry did them, but
I did, yeah.
it's okay, I've got it up. Let me one sec to find it. It's not showing.
I'll start by saying, I think the minutes are excellent overall. I really appreciate the detail. And while Marion's finding it, my concern is that I am very limited about what I want to say about Indigenous people because I've been faulted for not being proper authority, and I agree 100% I'm not. What I would have said about Veronica Moulton is that she felt that the Scottacook people were in Shutesbury, and that's why she put the plaque on the common. And she felt that they made baskets out of ash, and that's why there's an ash tree there. And the rest of the information may be true, but in that it's associated with me, there's no period or break. I feel very uncomfortable that it's sitting there on the front page as if I'm an authority on Native Americans. And I just would somehow like it changed so it maybe says Bracebridge mentioned that years ago Veronica Moulton had described an Indigenous tribe, Scottacook.
I think I edited it already after you gave that feedback. Leslie, take a look at this text.
Oh, thank you.
Is okay the way it is right now?
Let me take a look. I'm so sorry.
No,
That's why
I
we
think it's,
wanted to do it.
yeah, I think it's the same. It still says, and it played an important role in mediating local conflicts. And I think
Yeah,
that's not something she wants to
Right.
opine upon.
I just don't, because
Okay.
Veronica never told me that, and I wouldn't have said it, and I don't want people to think that I'm talking about things I know nothing about.
How about that had some connection to this area,
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
which they actually did.
Mhm.
And the authentic, yeah, those are, it's a nice way of saying that I asked Margaret if she could confirm it, and nothing came of it. Yeah, that, the rest is fine.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good.
Great. So,
And I don't care if someone else wants to put that in, but it didn't come out of my mouth.
Mhm.
It could have been that was discussed, but someone else would have said it.
So is this language okay now for everybody?
It's fine for me.
Yep.
great. Move to approve, unless there are any other comments, move to approve these minutes, 5:25.
Except it says that I submitted minor edits, but I wasn't at the meeting.
That's odd. Well, that's for the 427. But you weren't at the 427 meeting?
I was, but it makes it look like maybe I had, okay. All right, I must have given them, I must have sent Henry.
Oh, I
the-
see. Yeah.
Submitted to Getty's.
There were some things because originally the name of the tribe wasn't in there, for instance. That was one of the things that was updated on one version of what I had compared to another. That's the most obvious one I noticed.
No, I mean, for the April 27th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. You're right.
No, okay,
Okay. I don't know what it was then. Okay.
I'll just leave it. There was some reason why Henry said that, so, I
Or you
mean,
could just say submitted minor edits for the 427 minutes or something like that. Oh, yeah, you're right. But when? Okay, whatever.
Anyway. Shall we move to approve these then?
Yes.
All right, I so move. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Thank you.
second.
Okay, good.
Going round, there we go. Okay, so it's just us four.
Yep.
Alton,
Aye.
Srivanka,
Aye.
Geddes, I, and Stone.
Aye.
Okay,
Boy, thank goodness, finally.
finally, almost a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So next up, guide board restoration project updates. I looked at all the material there. I assume Miriam has something new for us today. What I noticed is quite a range of costs for doing this work. And it seems that the most recent proposal is to actually replicate. Is this correct?
well,
Yes.
that was just the quote that was given by Peter.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not proposing that. I'm just saying that. I just
Okay.
put the
Okay.
Commission because it came in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was the least, the lowest cost option, I think. Except for Bob Gross quote.
Well, and Bob has not given me a revised quote, so
Okay.
I gave him the scope, and I think what I would like tonight is for us to approve a final language on that scope. So that when I'm talking to vendors, I have some solid document to share. So I'd like to get the commission to review that. I've sent out copies of that to everybody. I'm still reaching out to some new vendors. I talked with the circuit rider for Preservation Massachusetts, who consults with historical commissions on CPA projects, and they gave me some other names and some database to find vendors. So I've made some more inquiries, and there's going to be a limit to how many vendors I can reach out to. I've talked to probably 20 people.
Wow.
That should be more than enough.
But there's a certain point where, you're getting diminishing returns, particularly if you're looking at vendors that are a long distance away. It's not even worth the time, because either the travel expenses are going to be too much, or they're just not going to be interested because it's not in a local project. So,
Miriam, I have two questions.
yeah.
The bids that you sent us, besides the one from Peter Ham, are they for replacement? Or
No,
for
this is all restoration.
restoration? And did those people examine this structure closely?
No, these were all preliminary bids because we didn't even have a final scope yet. So no, I haven't gotten any final official bids except for the one from Peter, partially because we need to have a scope, and then, I need to really, get down in the weeds, but it was really just a way I got those bids before we submitted the CPA application, so that I could give the CPC some examples of the type of vendors we were looking at, to give them some sense of what the qualifications are and need to be, and what kind of work needed to be done. So there was another restoration specialist in Connecticut that I've had some conversations with. His name is Bill Gould, and he gave a quote back last in 22, and I spoke to him this last week. He's still interested in the project, but he said it would, and this is for restoration, it's not for replication, but he said it would be somewhere in the $30,000 range.
Oh,
Which, we have $10,000 of CPC funds, and we have $17,000 in our account. And, it's possible there would be some donations that might come in, but it would tap us out on one project.
Does the Massachusetts Historical Commission have grants for this type of thing?
Not really. Not for this kind of thing.
So what,
And that isn't going to really help us, because that grant cycle doesn't align with the current CPC grant cycle. I mean, it would take us 2 to 3 years to apply for a grant with MHC, and we would lose the CPC grant in the meantime. I mean, we have to act on this grant. There's the grant conditions require that we begin work by July of 2023. Now, I imagine we could get an extension on that if we were making progress and we had selected a vendor and we were moving forward. But if we are still stuck, we might lose the grant. So I think that we need to be mindful that we have to make some decisions.
So what would you like to do today with this scope?
I'd like to review it. I'd like to pull it up and
Okay,
talk
you want to share it?
about what we're looking at. And so let me look at this. The other thing is that, as I've learned, there are different types of preservationists, and this structure needs 2 different kinds of specialists. There needs to be somebody who works with wood, and then there needs to be a decorative painter who can, and not just any painter, not just a sign painter, but somebody who knows how to recreate historically authentic lettering and to create the patina and texture to appear more genuine. You can't go to a regular sign shop for this. We wouldn't want to do that, I don't think. So I'm going to screen share the scope.
Do I remember correctly that Mary Lou said that she would not work on this project if it was restoration?
That's what Mary Lou said, which was
Mm.
unfortunate. And that's
Mm.
why Peter Ham said if we could find another decorative painter, then possibly he would still be interested.
Mm.
Okay, here's the scope. Date has to be changed, of course. And tell me when you want me to scroll more. Can you guys read the text?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the purpose is just kind of general.
Mhm.
Then I have a little bit of background.
Yep.
This is just mostly summarized from the CPC grant. So I don't think this is all, except that, I make some comment here. There's paint failure, the plywood cap is rotting. Okay, project description. Do you want me to read it or you just want to read it silently?
No, I think we can read it. Yeah.
So here they would do an assessment
Mhm.
before beginning the work. They would take the structure and do an assessment or inspection and then come back to us before they did any more further work. So there'd be some points where we could make some decisions if, for example, they discovered something that was unexpected. And then attend 2 historical commission meetings. I think actually it's going to take more than that. I think that's I just don't think that's realistic.
Just take the two. Yeah.
Realistic. 4, 3, I don't know.
Don't name it. Just attend historical commission meetings by Zoom to discuss findings.
Well, I think that they would, in terms of
Yeah.
quotas, they want to know how many meetings planned.
Mhm.
And then we would have to pay more if there's more meetings. So
Right.
it's gonna be very time consuming for them to have to come to meetings. So
Yep.
Maybe just 3, because you can communicate with them in between times for more specific stuff. So they'd be more reporting to us
okay.
questions, problems, something like that, or
Yeah.
where they are.
So here's the activities.
Mm-mm.
So one of the issues is the roof treatment, because
Mhm.
a metal roof cap would not be original. It would be a different treatment. And it's probably a better treatment, but
Well, is the existing cap on it the original?
no,
So there's precedent for putting a new cap on it.
yeah.
And was that allowed, the Freedom Gray sheeting under the Mass Historical rules or what?
MHC didn't comment on it.
Okay. Okay.
Are you talking about the Secretary of Interior standards for rehab?
Well, more the Massachusetts stuff, but is there a problem with the interior stuff either?
It might
about
be, because with
original?
CPC, you're supposed to follow the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation of historic structures. And it says basically, you preserve as much of the original as you can, with the understanding that if a structure is failing or is badly damaged, there's going to have to be material replacement.
Uh-huh.
So one of the questions was, if we did some replacement of the structure, would it still be eligible for CPC funds? And the answer to that is yes.
Uh-huh.
There's no hard and fast rule how much of the original structure you have to keep, because it is understood with rehab that you're often replacing materials that are damaged or in disrepair. So replacing materials is not a problem. Creating just a wholly new replica with no original materials would be not qualifying.
Mhm.
And the metal sheeting, I presume, would lengthen the life of
Sure.
station.
So
Yeah.
my problem, as I've said before, is that the current structure isn't really well designed. There's not a good drip edge. There's too many seams between the, there's this top cap of lead sheathing. And then there's an upright wooden structure, and then there's this hip roof. And the hip roof is covered with lead flashing, and then it has cedar shingles on top of that. I think the cedar shingles don't make any sense to me. They're not original. They don't hold up well. I just don't like the look of them. They're curling. They're almost horizontal, which means they're never gonna hold up very well.
Mhm.
But then the question is, what kind of material do we want? How do we make it weather tight?
Well,
What was done in
that
2009 is not weather tight.
that decision might happen as they work on it. I mean, there's so many kinds of metals you could use on it. I mean, no, copper, stainless steel. I
Well,
think.
Freedom Gray is a kind of copper. It's a zinc plated copper.
We don't know what the original was, right?
We don't know that there was any original metal. As far as we know, all the photographs we have from the 20th century show either asphalt shingles or the current arrangement.
Mhm.
But I think that the cedar shingles are fairly recent, like the last 30 years. So they're not traditional.
Okay.
So I don't know how to word this, but to say fabricate a new cap and roof, possibly out of metal, designed to be decided. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, that keeps it vague enough for people to be able to offer alternatives.
Mhm.
Cap and roof, treatment, design details to be decided between vendor and SHC. I mean, I wish we could just come up with I mean, I would like to see a metal roof
Mhm.
cap. I thought gray was good because it was more traditional and it looks like lead. It looks like a lead flashing, but
Yeah, that sounds color coordinated.
okay.
But you could say possibly that.
What?
You could still say possibly the gray, whatever.
Freedom Grey.
Freedom Gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then obviously timetable. What do we want to do for submissions of proposals? Go for April at this point? We have to we have to kind of make a decision. We can't keep, we have to decide on somebody or
Yeah. Are you thinking like, oh, well, it wouldn't be April 1st because that's a Saturday, but somewhere at the beginning of April?
well, I mean, they can submit it.
On a Saturday, yeah,
Okay.
electronically. And it's got to be started by June, did you say?
Well, I think we have to show that we're moving on it. I think we need to have a vendor selected.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember, we're gonna have to have discussion with the select board, so that's gonna take 2 or 3 weeks. So that's why I'm thinking
Okay.
6 weeks between when we get a proposal and
Okay.
And so you think the project completion December 1st, does that make sense with what's being asked for? I don't have any idea of how long this stuff takes.
I don't know. Well, we could say February. Let's see, if we select, give them 6 weeks, so what is, what's 6 months after July 1st? That's August, December, January, so,
That'd be January.
yeah. Well, let's say March, because they're not gonna want to install it in the winter, so. we'll
No,
Or sometime, March 1st,
okay.
okay.
Okay, I had one comment on the top of the second page when we're done with this other part, if there's anything else in this section.
Okay, go ahead.
It was just, it's like the last sentence on the first page. It's just, it has, for instance, directional and mileage markers to Quabbin towns that no longer exist. That's fine. Guide boards, decorative, educational, commemorative, contributed historic feel of the town common, fine. Then it says it lists distances to Quabbin towns that no longer exist. It's sort of repetitive.
Thank you.
Yep,
Good catch.
that's all.
You always catch these things. Thank
No,
you.
that was close enough that I noticed it.
You
Did
know,
you say the, did you
Karen,
say the grant was up by July 23rd?
Mm,
I think work has to, some kind of work has to start by then, right, Miriam?
Yeah,
Is that-
I thought you said that was when the thing was canceled.
we have 3 years. We have 3 years from last summer.
Oh, it's plenty.
So we got 2 more years.
Yeah,
Okay. Did you change the date on the front page from January 18th to something?
hold on, it's
On
freezing.
March 1st.
I left it, so let me change it.
And the part in yellow above is what I was thinking of too. So are you likely to issue it tonight? Is that what, is that
Well,
what you mean or what?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we vote on it.
Okay,
So then I
okay.
can be sharing this with people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Good.
I just wonder if March 1st as the completion date makes any sense. It's based on this March 1st to most March 1st. There's a pile of snow where
Mm,
the
Mm.
guide board would be.
that's true. Gonna make it more like May or June.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay,
if that's okay, I don't know in terms of the grant, whether,
I don't think it makes a difference.
okay.
Well, then maybe June.
And hopefully,
you're
the,
gonna-
hopefully the snow will be gone by then.
Yeah, right.
There's a realistic statement.
Oh, but we like the snow. It's just that it melts too quickly. By the way, I did check on a guy by the name of Greg Briggs,
Uh-huh.
who I had always thought had a piece of land just up here. You know, there's a Briggs sort of little
Briggs Road.
road up here off of Shutesbury Road, off of Pelham, Shutesbury Road. But apparently he's one of a branch. He doesn't know the other branch of
Mhm.
Briggs. There must have been other Briggs around here. Yeah, but I guess nobody knows any other Briggs in the area.
Not in the area. There certainly were plenty of Briggs family in time, over time.
Yo,
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
there's a thought.
So
So-
There's
Miriam,
a Briggs sawmill down, it's right on the Pelham Shutesbury line in Quabbin. And there's the Briggs Road off of Wendell Road in Shutesbury.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
No,
no.
no.
So Miriam, after we vote on this and stuff, then are you gonna send this to a list of vendors that you've determined from talking
Well,
to people? or
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I think right now I have two, but one
Okay.
where both of them would require a decorative painter, so
Yeah,
I really need the decorative painter.
okay,
So I'm still trying to, I have inquiries and I've got to make some more, I'm gonna make some more.
okay.
But again, it's just like, you know, there's a limit. I mean, I had some email exchange with somebody who's out on the Cape, and you know, you're gonna end up, the transportation costs are gonna be astronomical.
Yeah,
About moving something hundreds of miles.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Okay. But
And
all of this will be dependent
A
upon
couple of
getting,
people have kind of looped me back to Peter Ham. I mean, I think he really has the skill set
Mhm.
and the qualifications, and would do an excellent job. So if I could find a decorative painter and he's willing to be involved, then I think that might still be a good choice. But it's going to be, I think, the next question is, I don't think our original expectations were realistic around the cost.
uh-huh, yeah.
You mean money-wise?
So say what?
You mean money-wise, Miriam?
Yeah,
Uh,
Expectations money-wise?
Cost. Yep.
hmm
And, if we get to a place where, I won't be surprised if it in the end turns out to be $20,000 or something, and then we have to, we're gonna have to make a decision. We're gonna have to make a decision soon, within the next 2 or 3 months about, are we going to recommend spending that money and to do this repair, or saying to the select board and the CPC, sorry, we give up on it.
mm,
I mean, I would prefer us not to give up on it, and
yeah,
it is, I think it's a worthy project. I understand money it's a very costly project because it's a
but,
delicate structure.
but it is a very visible and symbolic piece of Shutesbury's landscape. Yes.
and
What is-
rather unique.
More than Shutesbury, it's symbolic of a historic way of directing traffic, which we do not use today.
Uh-huh.
I've always held my tongue, because I truly respect all the wonderful
And
work, and I
we haven't voted yet on we have to vote. Let's not forget to vote on that. Okay,
Yep.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't swear on a Bible, but I feel like as far back as the early 70s, Hobie Island rebuilt it, and I sat on the town common and painted the letters myself. I understand if we use Mr. Ham, we've got to go with a decorative painter, and I know the decorative painter probably could get way back below layers and layers of paint and find something original, but I do think we're struggling a lot with something that is over 200 years old and probably has very little original left. I was not a decorative painter, and I probably messed it up terribly.
Yeah.
But that's how we worked back then. And so I just don't know how people are going to get beyond things that have been done in the past without as much care as what you folks are really
Leslie,
doing a nice job with.
the approach that's being proposed, and this is the way it's done, is that we're not going to get below the paint layers to find an original lettering. They're going to make a template of the existing lettering as it looks now in its imperfect ways with the different hand styles and spacing and all of that. And they're going to take it all off. They're going to sand it down and take it down to wood, prime paint with a white coats, the undercoat, the base coat, And then the decorative lettering will be done atop that to recreate using that template. So that's technical skills involved in that and some documentation that has to go into that. Does that make sense, Leslie?
It does, and it's very professional and very thoughtful and very caring. And I'm just, for the 20,000, I just wonder, and I know the 20,000 isn't just lettering. It just seems like so many times it has been done less professionally that maybe no one would care if it was the exact same lettering as what we see today, as long as it looked somewhat antique. I'm just making, I'm not a voter, and I just wanted to throw out that I feel like I
agree.
painted it in the 70s.
I agree. We have to make sure that we're doing things in a way, though, that are consistent with the standards. Because
Yep.
we're using CPC funds, it's not really up to us entirely. We have to be able to say to the CPC and the select board that we're using professional skills. Now, it is possible we might, I've even thought about, reaching out to someone like Becca Wheeler
Yeah,
and saying, who's a local painter who has a lot of skill, and saying, maybe we could research what we want, and could you do the decorative painting if we find a preservationist who, could you help do this? And maybe somebody like that could, who's a sign painter that we have confidence in, or a painter. So I'm not averse to looking at that. And I guess, we'd just have to interview that person and make sure we felt comfortable that their skill set is up to this. And that Peter Ham is willing to work with somebody like this, because that
Right.
the other piece is that we're using professional level preservationists whose reputations depend on things, right? If it's going to be in a public place and people are going to point to it and say, oh, that's what Peter Ham did, or that's what Bill Gould did, they're going to want to make sure that that they want their name associated with something.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Ham would have to give us a new bid, right? That reflects, not replacing.
Right.
Miriam, have you been looking in Vermont? I mean, for a painter as well? I just was wondering if you have to be within just the Mass Historical list of approved people, or whether there are decorative painters in Lower Vermont that might actually end up being closer.
What I've been doing is I've been using the directory. I've been using the directory of vendors from Preservation Massachusetts, and then there's like a national
On
association.
my knees is fine.
Okay.
There's a national association of, I don't know what it's called, preservationists or conservationists or something,
Okay.
that has a database. And so I've been going through that database,
Okay.
searchable by maps, by distance. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
May I say something?
Susan, yes.
Okay, and I just want to know, for everybody to know, that I'm also here from the Friends of the Historical Commission.
Mhm.
Miriam, I'm wondering about the possibility of finding a decorative painter who works at either historic Deerfield or Old Sturbridge, because those aren't very far away.
I could check. I've thought about that.
Yeah.
Good thought.
I can certainly reach out to them.
Good
I
idea.
have reached out to some museum associations in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Association of Museum Directors.
Okay.
But I'll check.
Good idea.
Yeah, thank you for the. So are we voting then? Ready to vote?
Let's.
Miriam?
Yeah.
You got the information. All right, so a move to approve this scope of work for the guide board. Second,
I'll second it.
okay. So going around, Zeronka.
Yep,
Okay.
yes, I approve.
Carlton,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Geddes, aye. Stone,
Aye,
okay.
that's it.
I guess so.
Well, stay tuned.
Stay
Okay.
tuned.
Fingers crossed.
As a non-voting member, I'd like to thank Miriam for the hours and
Oh,
hours she
yeah.
has put
Yeah,
into this,
Miriam.
and the patience she has with all of us, myself especially.
And
No,
determination.
you guys have been great. No, nothing to apologize. I appreciate the enthusiasm. It's nice to have something unifying in Shutesbury.
And yeah, it's a
Well-
real visible symbol for the town, which I think a lot of people will appreciate, having it restored in one way or another compared to the poor crumbling, flaking thing that is now. It's very special. And I think it's nice to have a concrete thing like this, but it's taken mucho hours of your time to track down people and standards and grants and everything. It's just amazing. And I really hope that we're able to get this through. And if necessary, we'll do some fundraising, you know, if there's a gap or whatever. So,
Did I tell you, I don't know if I said this in the meeting, that one of my daughters, I think it was my daughter Sarah, was where I was talking to her about the guide board. She's in her early 30s. And she said, I always wondered where Ripton was. I would love to see that put back on. I'm sorry. I just,
I know, I like it
definitely.
too, but I'll just go with whatever is determined to be the right thing. But I do like Ripton on there.
So let's then move on to the annual meeting and membership. I think they're both related, yes? The annual meeting, which is about election of officers and review of goals.
Okay.
I suppose the subheading is membership. And I'm trying to remember, this is sort of a ritual we do every year. I cannot remember what, anybody have any ideas here? What are our goals? I mean, I think our goals pretty much written up in the description of our mission as a commission,
Right, they haven't changed.
and they have not changed.
I think it's kind of like projects or what are we wanting? There are short-term goals.
Okay, well, and clearly we're already immersed in several things. But maybe it's an occasion to discuss anything that we haven't touched on lately, besides, you know, the cemetery, the guide board, indigenous cultural properties. I don't know. Is there anything else that we?
Well, also the other thing that's on the agenda, the West Schoolhouse, that
Yes.
we really need to get into doing some cleaning, maintenance or whatever on it, that it's been sitting there for a few years now and we've got to take our part, get something done with it,
Okay.
work on it.
Yeah, that's certainly, that is actually on the agenda.
Yeah.
We can discuss that in more practical terms, such as
Mm-hmm.
who will volunteer or what circumstances.
Well, is there anything that we want to be doing around indigenous cultural properties?
Well, at one point we were talking about some kind of signage
On the common.
on the common or whatever, and I think that still might be a good idea. And there seems to be a lot more of that happening now around the state. So there might be more examples or whatever to look at now too. But I think it was Greg who had sort of a mock-up or whatever that looked interesting, and talking about, maybe 2 or 3 sides or something to be able to put more history in and have some visuals.
There was some text I had sent to people.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
That could be, yes, a goal, a project for this coming year.
Yeah.
You know, I'm agreeable. Anyone else?
Would that be something we'd have to do, submit maybe to CPC, or we'd start having to decide what we wanted and then come up with some estimates of costs and
Hmm.
all that
Wouldn't
sort
be
of thing?
eligible, it wouldn't be eligible for CPC.
Oh,
funds.
okay. Okay.
It's interpretive signage and that
Oh,
does,
okay.
Mhm.
and we would have to get select board consent.
Yes, right. Yep.
I
Okay.
guess we need to come up with some kind of exemplar of what we're talking about, therefore to share.
Well, I know that Mary Lou had done quite a bit of research on it, and I could speak to her and try and gather it together.
Yeah, I think there's the sort of shorter versions, longer versions, and then
Mhm.
something else that we could always create, and whether it's on the common or some other appropriate place. Common seems like a decent place, and if we're allowed to put something new on there, which I guess would be select board approval for that part.
Common or possibly library, if well, existing
Yeah.
library or new library if there is one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, then I'll take on that job of just pulling things together, including words that Miriam has suggested, and try and get it into a package that can be moved forward.
That
Yeah, I
would be
think
neat.
Great.
the language that I had drafted was a suggestion of a way to,
Right. It was a long copy because it come out of
long
your
copy, which
previous
obviously would
come
need
out
to
of your previous work. Yes.
Have to be abridged, maybe.
Yes.
I'm trying to say something. What I was trying to do with that example was using the concept of land deeds as a teaching tool, as an interpretive tool. Because the land deeds show the signatures of indigenous people who are, are known entities. They have names. They were real people. They had a tie to this land. They made a statement by signing these deeds about their relationship to this land. And whether they did it under duress, whether they did it voluntarily, they made a statement which has survived. I mean, I've even thought, maybe we could get photographs and create a visual like reproduction, like
Mhm.
a panel under some sort of glass or something of a sign of the deeds or something with interpretive language to explain who they were. Because I just feel like the problem is when we talk about indigenous history is the way it gets talked about is, in a very vague way, like these people are gone, they're anonymous, who knows who they were.
Mhm.
And, these, and the idea of individual names, I think is very powerful to me. It has
Mhm.
about
Yep.
tells a very different, very human, very real story. That maybe I thought could be kind of indisputable and something that people would not know about really, because it doesn't get taught.
Yeah.
And some of them were women too, weren't they? Some of the
Well, in one of
deed
them,
signers?
it was sons who identified themselves by their mothers' names because their mothers were tribal leaders, were not sachems, but samskas, I think the word. And so in a matriarchal tradition, their tie to authority was through their mothers.
Mhm.
And that's why their mothers' names are there. So it's so-and-so, son of so-and-so, and they mention mothers and who were related to each other. So the stories, I don't know if you guys have read Lisa Brooks' books,
Mm-mm.
but she's this historian who has written some fascinating books about Massachusetts indigenous history in the 17th and 18th centuries. And in her second book, The Common Pot, is that it? Yeah, The Common Pot, or Beloved Kin. A Common Pot. She's translated these deeds and she's done all this kind of biographical research about these individuals and what their life story is, because a lot of it is in the written record. particularly the 18th century land deed that was signed in 1735. There's a lot of documentary records about those individuals. I mean, they're well known. They're not anonymous people. So that is just fascinating. It's a really good, this is a great book to read.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And it explains the question that was begging and nagging at all of us, is like, why was a Scotticook tribal leaders signing a land deed for land in Western Massachusetts in this area? Why is that? Because Scotticook is in New York.
Mhm.
Um,
And Connecticut.
what?
And Connecticut.
Connecticut, but Scotticook, New York is where
Uh-huh.
these individuals are from. But the book sort of explains the whole history of who they were and what was going on at this very famous conference called the Peace Conference, the Deerfield Peace Conference of 1735.
Okay.
This meeting between colonial government and tribal leaders in an effort to develop a peace agreements, but then also to use that to compel people to sign land deeds and take land. So land theft. It wasn't really a peace conference, but that's what it was called.
What's the title of the book again?
There's two books called My Beloved Kin and The Common Pot. And I believe The Beloved Kin, which is also fascinating, is looks at documentary evidence of King Philip's War through the perspective of Indigenous people who were involved, where there's documentary evidence of their life and what was going on. So it's reinterpreting what we know about the war, including, when I find this just fascinating, she looks at the narratives from some of the British colonial captives who wrote books after, who were captured and then ransomed, redeemed. And they wrote books that were very popular, where they, talk about their experience. And then she reinterprets what they say from the Indigenous person's perspective, interpreting their behavior and kind of doing this kind of cultural interpretation of why, for example, certain Indigenous people would behave the way they did in those narratives, in those colonial narratives, because the colonial captives were behaving very badly. Like refusing to help with firewood or something, behaving or refusing to respect grieving rituals when a 5-year-old died.
Uh-huh.
So, just like not recognizing that when a group of women were grieving, they didn't want to be disturbed because a child had died. So just very interesting things.
Oh.
It's really like amazing book, both of
Oh,
them.
cool. Thank you.
Lisa is a Amherst College professor, and she's a historian and an Indigenous person herself. So her research is really
cool. All right.
I look forward to seeing and discussing that further with everybody.
Really, please read those two books. I put them down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these things, of course, there's only so much you can put out in a limited sort of space. And there's such complexity to the relationships going back historically that I imagine we'll have to make some decisions about, how much of that complexity can we represent?
Right.
We can make references to outside resources like those books or other websites that have
Okay.
and we can create a barcode kind of link to those.
Yeah, you can have whatever you call those things. What are those codes?
QR codes.
QR codes.
QR code.
You could have QR codes. Yeah, people do that. You hold up your phone and then you get a link to your phone to the website where we have information. So yeah, we could definitely do that. Also, the other thing about Lisa Brooks is she has for My Beloved Kin, she has this website where she has maps. And the story, her book is it shows links to these interactive GIS maps.
Oh.
And
Okay.
you can really kind of follow the landscape and follow the story that she writes about by looking at it through this geographical lens.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Ourbelovedkin.com.
Ah,
Really cool way of using technology and online presence to.
Right.
Okay, so that's something we want to do. Are there other goals that we want to think about? Or projects, short term, or, we've talked about wanting to. One of the thoughts I've had over time was mapping. And the idea of mapping stone walls in Shutesbury and creating a GIS data layer of stone walls.
So it's colonial stone walls.
Well, we don't need to decide whether they're colonial or not, just stone walls.
Okay.
mhm.
I'm not convinced that there's colonial, but or many of them colonial, but that's just roadside. And then, the reason why doing that would be to maybe move the conversation along around how do we protect stone walls in the long.
Yeah.
I had brought up with the planning board last year, the idea of possibly a scenic roads bylaw, which
Yeah.
towns can pass, which then protects the right of way, particularly if there's stone structures in the right of way can be protected from development impacts. And the reaction was very disappointing. I don't know if any of you were there at that meeting. Henry, you were there. One of the comments made was that they didn't think Shutesbury had particularly scenic roads.
Oh, well, you don't know till you lose it, I guess, then.
So yeah, we don't have vistas. We don't have big open expansive vistas, but we have these beautiful forest interior roads where there's stones and wetlands and waterfalls, and I mean, I love our dirt roads.
Yeah. Okay, well, I
Yeah.
suppose we could have these sort of a list here and then pick away at it, or if something comes up, work on one more than another as
Yeah.
if other people get interested or involved. The other thing might be sort of along that line is just try to coordinate with the Conservation Commission about the cultural landscape for the property down near E3, whatever that's called. Sorry, Dutch Brook. Yeah.
What about the cemetery?
We're doing, they're doing restoration work. There's a CPC project right now that's coming before the town for a vote for some more cemetery restoration work.
Who's doing that?
The cemetery commission.
I meant people.
The
If I knew
cemetery,
them.
can I, since I'm on the cemetery commission, can I answer?
Sure, Susan.
Yeah. We're using, I'm having a senior moment about her name, but we're using the woman from New Salem who did the last gravestone restoration.
Tara or something like
Yeah,
that.
Tamara. Yeah,
Tamara
yeah,
Conde.
Tamara. She's a professional who does a wonderful job, as you know, if you've seen what she did the first time with the stones that she restored.
And who's going to clean the schoolhouse, West Schoolhouse?
That's on our agenda tonight. It's coming right up.
Susan, I have a question for you. I hope you guys don't mind if I ask a question that's not really history related, but it's cemetery commission related.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about what's going on with the regulations for the Green Cemetery at the Jewish cemetery?
Okay, well, you're talking about the Green Cemetery or the Jewish Cemetery?
Jewish cemeteries plan for a green cemetery. For green
Okay,
buildings.
West Cemetery has a green section. What's going on now is the Board of Health is looking into some matters that have questions that have been raised about the Jewish cemetery and its possible impact on neighboring properties. And the Board of Health is dealing with that now.
So that's what the issue is. I know that they had put it on hold, and so that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, there was I mean, I'm not really sure how much I should say about it, but there was a question about possible impact on neighboring lands.
Throwing a butter at a concern.
Yes, and a butter had a concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Can I, this is not a cemetery commission question, but I have two quick questions, which I hope will be quick questions. I've always wondered what it took to get the kind of signs that Leverett has that indicate historic districts.
Yeah, I can answer that. So they submitted historic districts to the National Register of Historic Places. And so they put together an application with the National Register and got those districts established. And the signs are identifying those historic districts.
Could
And
we do that?
We've had a lot of discussion about it because, you know, the concern was if we just put up signs and declare something a historic district without going through the nomination process, there may be a lot of confusion.
Mhm.
Because usually towns put up those signs when they have a historic district designated on the National Register. And when it's on the National Register, it's automatically added to the State Register of Historic Places. So it becomes a state historic place listing and the National Register. And we could do it. It's an application process. I did a lot of research on it. I got copies of the Leverett application. And Mary Lou Conca was on the commission and she wanted to take that on. And I don't think anything came of it, but
Okay,
it was
so
left.
it's something that you all have worked on in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the problem had been that you can't do it without the consent of the abutters, the residents in that district. And there are concerns that people have about owning homes in historic districts. It doesn't mean that you can't change a home or build a home or improve a home, but there would be some there are some protections that come along with it and some review process. And people often don't want to have extra layers of regulation around their home properties. And so I know like 20 years ago, there was some surveys done that Leslie was a part of, and residents in town center did not want to have a district established. Leslie, are you there still?
I am. I think you're very well spoken. I think you've described it to a T. When we did the survey of property buildings that were 50 years or older with the Mass Historical Commission, the recommendation was that a very large segment of the center of Shutesbury be called a historic district. And we publicly announced a meeting with the state officials and was well attended. And to a person, people who owned property in the proposed area said they absolutely, even though, and I don't think with the federal historic district connotation, there are any specific things that people cannot do, but people were just uncomfortable that it could lead to something. The regulation comes at the local level. If you have a historic district, then there can be a local historic district commission. And
Have a bylaw.
yes, a bylaw and a commission that regulates, and a regulatory board. But you have verbalized it perfectly, Miriam. The only thing I would say is it doesn't have to happen from the federal level backwards. A number of properties are on the state historic district, state historic inventory. And they have recommendations that they could be put to the federal one. We were taught to use a professional, which came to a lot of money, and it's a big project. It's not as simple, oh, let's just do it. And you said it well.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining this, and I apologize for a sort of a long digression in the meeting.
No, you're absolutely, you're here.
No, it's fine.
So, are there other things we want to think about as goals? Or do we have our hands full?
I think we got a few things there.
You know, there's the work that's incomplete on the storage closet.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, forgot about that.
Greg, are you still interested in working on that?
Yes. Yes. And this summer would be a good time, I guess. That was last summer. Yeah, I'm keen to do that.
I'm willing to do some too if, you know, I don't know. I know not many people can fit in that space. So if there's room and you need an extra couple hands or something, I'll be happy to help out in some way.
Okay, we can talk about that, I suppose, offline.
Okay.
I am too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd be available as well.
yeah.
Same for
Sparking lots of interest.
that.
So,
I was given the tour of the place, so I don't know how much I remember, but
Yes, it's very interesting. The whole building is very interesting.
so do you want to talk about the West Schoolhouse?
yeah. Cleaning it, is that, yeah?
Exterior, you're talking?
I believe so.
Interior.
Interior.
No. Does that require any special expertise, or it's just like cleaning our houses?
Without electricity or water.
Uh-huh. Good BYO electricity and water then, huh?
Or heat.
It's called dry cleaning.
It should be done in the summer.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's mostly brooming things out, cobwebbing, that sort of stuff, or what do we, I guess you
Yeah.
said there's often a mouse problem, right? That we have to worry about?
Well, yes. You can bring a bucket of water from home, or I'm just thinking jeepers, maybe in this day and age, someone has a battery operated vacuum cleaner. I don't, but
No.
I went
No.
around, I'm sorry to say, with Windex and did all the benches because they just get this grimy kind of,
Okay.
and you know, until you're going to have an open house, maybe that's the time to do it, so that rather than just clean it and close it.
And they get dirty again.
Yeah, right. The
We haven't
roof is
done it-
always
we
something.
haven't done it for years, so I think it needs to get done regardless.
Just try to get a sense of the size of the space and what's in it. I assume there's maybe some tables in it and chairs and things like that.
There's the old cast iron metal desks, which you can wipe down each metal, you know, that the chair's attached to the desk in front of it,
Oh, yeah.
the desk behind it, and you know, it's just gets dusty and old. There's some kids' artwork from 1976 celebration, which I never quite know what to do with. It's not a major job. It's just nice if it's teamwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it last by myself because that's how it happened when I stepped down, which was 2017. So it's like a house that hasn't been cleaned in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could organize a cleaning party.
Yeah, you want to set a date?
I
Yeah.
think so.
When is everyone around, or most people around, I suppose? When it warms up,
Early summer.
June?
Yeah. Not
I
too.
was thinking, I mean, I can't do it because I have a mold allergy, so.
Mhm.
But I would suggest doing it in May.
Yeah,
just because it gets really hot in the summer, and I think that's gonna make it more unpleasant to do it. So I would shoot for May.
okay.
We can work on it in May.
Friday or Saturday?
Why don't you just pick a date?
Let's see, calendar.
Hmm.
Uh,
Is town meeting no longer on a Saturday, or what's the deal now? It's Saturday with town meeting?
Me in June.
Oh, okay, all right, so that's not a problem. I don't know,
I think
Yeah.
Karen asked, should it be on a weekend day or a weekday?
yeah,
Weekend makes sense, doesn't it?
yeah,
Saturday?
yeah.
yeah. I don't-
Well, you want to go for like the 6th or the 13th? Those are Saturdays.
hmm.
I hear Miriam's comment, but sometimes the interior of that building stays cold for a
Oh, okay.
while. I
Ah,
can't tell you for sure.
uh-huh,
But
yeah,
I
the
don't
year's
think it
different.
would hurt to go longer. We always did it in September, right before we had the open house. So
Right.
it was always cool by then.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the open house would have been part of Shutesbury celebrations.
It could be. Barbara Goodhine tried it on that weekend once, and everybody is so glued to the center of town that she got nobody.
Ah,
She did it on the 3-day weekend in order to encourage people from out of town to get there. But it doesn't have to be in the fall.
no.
If you're going to have an open house, it could be whenever it's convenient for you.
Be nice if it had some historical relevance, I suppose, but not necessary.
maybe it's a little too early to try to set a date till we know more what the weather is like and
Yeah, we could
what's
wait for,
happening.
Retable at next meeting.
Yeah, just
We
keep it
know.
on there until we can figure out
Mhm.
a date that works in maybe June or something like that, that won't interfere with town meetings and whatever other sorts of things
Yep.
are happening.
Hmm.
I would think it would just be the morning probably, right? Do you think it's like 9 to 12 or something like that?
Yeah,
That would work. Mhm.
So one of the things I was hoping that we could talk about, since Susan is here and this is our annual meeting, is whether Friends has any interest in doing any fundraising for the guide board.
I can't speak for the Friends in this issue. Leslie, what do you think?
The same that as you, I don't think the Friends would have to meet and discuss it. I have previously told Miriam that I maxed out at the moment without an assessor in the office. My time is, and a few other things that are going on in my life. I just don't have the time to, I'm ready to back away from the Friends group just because it needs new blood. It needs new energetic blood, as far as I'm concerned.
But we have to do something to interest young and energetic blood to contribute, to
That's true.
participate.
That's true.
My thought is that we as a town committee can't be actively fundraising.
You
Um,
can as a friend.
Yeah.
we- a friend, but not as a commission. It strikes me that the guide board is a very fun project that a lot of people might care enough about to chip in on a small amount. And people could donate. I mean, people can write a check and send it to the historical commission and it'll go in our donation account. We just can't be going out, soliciting donations, but somebody else could on behalf of the friends, or just as a interested community member, people are able to fundraise in that way. Sometimes even doing it digitally. So,
Well, I'm certainly happy to talk to Joan about it and see if she'd like to try to hold a meeting of us to discuss it. It would be nice if there's no rule about members of the historical commission also being on the Friends, is there?
No, that's how it started. It primarily was
Oh.
originally historical commission members who wanted to fundraise too.
So
well,
maybe, we're so small and older folks in numbers, it'd be great if some of you would join us.
well, I'm interested, and
Yeah.
I've done a lot of fundraising, and I'm like I'm on the fundraising committee for Village Neighbors. So, that's why I'm thinking about there are ways to do fundraising that aren't a heavy lift, like even as simple a thing as somebody going on, let's say, Nextdoor, Shutesbury, and Africa with pictures of the guide board
Mm-hmm.
and a link to maybe the website where we have the CPC application, and saying, this is a project that's worth supporting. And if you're interested, you can donate either to the Friends or you can donate directly to the commission. And that's all it would take. And we might get some money.
So could you do that if you were a member of the Friends?
I don't know. I feel like I'm such a visible.
You're too visible. Well, you could write up a proposal and ship it to the Friends, and maybe some of the rest of you could join the Friends though, and
Sure.
be great to have the extra bodies and minds.
Yeah.
Friends is not an official town meeting.
They're organized as a charitable organization.
We're
Yeah.
a private organization, can't be municipal committees cannot raise funds
Yeah.
So you,
statutorily.
do you want to just send, like, when you're going to have a meeting, maybe send to the historical commission an invite or notice, and we'll circulate to all the members who want to come?
That'd be a great idea. Leslie,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think you want me to write to Joan about this?
It sounds great.
Okay, I will.
Yeah,
I would like to see a closer working relationship with the Friends, between the commission and Friends.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay, that's great. So
Okay.
officers.
Members. Uh,
We have to vote on officers.
how do we stand? I guess we got 6 people in the committee.
We have 7.
Oh, 7. That's right. Missing Mateo. That's the tops. That's the top, isn't it? So, but Greg, you were considering retiring from the commission.
I was, because I thought there might be other things in town that I could do that might be more up my alley, like on the web. We're helping with the website, and maybe joining the Friends of the Historical Commission.
Mhm.
And because I just don't feel, I mean, at work, I would try and avoid committee meetings because they just seem to get in the way, and I'm not very patient. But I'm still very much interested in working on signage and the archive room and all that sort of stuff. I'd be very happy to stay involved in that way, but I wasn't intending to re-up.
All right. Well, if you're willing to help with those things, that'd be great. And as a member, it'd be good too, for as much as you're willing to, as long as you're willing to.
Yeah, Friends is an interesting idea too.
Yeah.
So are
Okay.
you thinking, Greg, of resigning or just not getting renewed when your appointment? I don't know when your appointment expires.
I don't either, Miriam. I think to make it clear, I suppose I should resign just so that it's clear. But I will stay involved in all the other ways.
That'd be great.
Good.
Really great.
Okay. So for now, we can think about another member at some point. But,
Another member.
yeah.
Susan, you're a historian.
Yeah, you know, I really am interested, but I'm overloaded with town and also League of Women Voter committees right now. So, not yet.
Okay. All right, well, we'll have to think about that. Who might be a good person?
I know somebody who is very interested when.
Who's that?
becomes available.
Just curious.
Glenn Stockton, he was a history teacher. all his life. I mean, for many years.
Oh.
And he's very active with village neighbors. He's told me he'd like to be a part of this someday.
Cool.
Yeah, great.
Well, I guess we'll be posting or through the grapevine, letting people know that there might be a position open.
I'll talk to you, Henry, offline about the process of me resigning. I don't know what it
Oh,
is. So
Okay.
So what you
Alright.
have to do, Greg, is you have to send a letter, an email to the Historical Commission and to the Select Board.
okay,
And at the date effect that your resignation is effective.
okay,
And then in order to get new members to fill that, if somebody's interested, they should come to a meeting. But we probably need to put a post up like on Nextdoor and maybe
town website.
Yeah.
the town email account is usually how they advertise an opening. So we can talk about, we have the language that we've used in the past that we can just recycle.
Wouldn't Greg have to send a note to the select board as well? Or not?
So I said,
You
I said.
said-
historical
Select board.
commission and the select board.
Commission and select board.
Yeah, I missed it, yeah. Okay, I think we've run through most of our business tonight.
No, we have to elect officers, Henry, every year we have to.
We have to re-elect ourselves.
Elect whoever.
We haven't talked about who's willing to continue or wants to
That's true.
take
That's true.
over. I'm happy not doing anything other than attending.
Well, and
But I'd love to see you two still stay in as long as you're willing to. I think, do we just have a chair and Miriam, are you a vice chair or a secretary? What is it?
Secretary.
Okay. All right. And do we need any other positions than that?
I don't think we do.
no,
Okay.
No, unless somebody's, yeah, I'm willing to do it unless somebody's raring to go.
And Miriam, are you willing to continue in your role there or what?
Yeah. I will.
Thank you. I know you're already juggling and doing so much, but you make a big difference.
Do we move then just to,
We have to have two motions, one for each.
Okay.
how would you word the motions?
Is it reappoint or what's the?
Just move to, reappoint.
Elect.
Oh,
You're
elect?
you're electing the chairman of the committee and you're electing the secretary of the committee.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Were you
Will
gonna do that?
somebody call me for cleaning the house, the schoolhouse?
Yes, someone could do that.
Okay, so shall I make a motion then? I'll start with the chair to re-elect Henry as the chair of the Historical Commission.
I'll second it.
All of
Okay.
it?
Yep, call the vote.
Call the vote. Should I do that or?
Yeah.
All
You-
right. So go around the room. Galton,
Yes.
Veronica,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Aye.
Defunt. Geddes, I, Stone,
Aye.
so moved.
Okay. And I'll make a motion to elect or re-elect Miriam as the secretary for the Historical Commission.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, going around the room, Carlton,
Yes/I.
Cervonka.
Yes.
Cervonka, okay,
Yes.
got it. Defunt,
Abstain.
yep. All right, sorry. Fernandez,
Aye.
Geddes, I, Stone,
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
so done.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, any other business that we haven't dealt with tonight? When is our next meeting? That's just so we,
So we have been kind of doing the last Wednesday. Or the fourth Wednesday, which would be March 22nd, or March 29th, which would be in 4 weeks. How about if we do March 29th?
Okay.
29th, it works for me. 7 o'clock.
Okay, good.
March 29th.
March
Yeah.
29th. Make sure there's no conflict with other committees.
I think we'll be okay.
You sure? Because that was one of the problems with.
Well,
We just have to get in there
I'll
first.
I'll post it and get in there first and.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's competitive.
Yeah, it's just
My
ridiculous.
God,
I have
March
to say,
29th. Well, at this point,
have to
there's nobody signed up for the 29th.
it's ridiculous to me that we cannot use a private Zoom account and just give the town the recording.
Yeah.
And, you know, what Grace said is that they did it once and it was a dismal failure, so they're never going to go back to that. And I'm like, so it happened once, it was a problem, but
Fix it.
what?
Yeah.
You might need to just hold up anyway. The state renewal of the Zoom meetings was only through April 23.
Oh,
And
you're right.
so if they don't renew again, this next meeting may be in person.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah.
There's a really big lobby to have this maintained and continued.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense, you know? We
It
don't
brings
drive
in-
cars. We don't need to drive a car to get somewhere. It's
yep,
come on.
brings in greater participation of the public at large.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anything else before we sign off here?
No,
No,
thank you guys for showing up.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay,
We'll say
Right.
aye.
going around. Paul?
Aye.
Yes. Zavonka,
Yeah, yes.
Defunt,
um,
Fernandez,
Me? Aye.
Fernandez. Geddes, I, Stone,
Bye.
The ayes have it.
so moved.
good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
night.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.